All right, so I'm Alex Wire. I'm kind of a new up-and-coming author. Just started out writing this book probably back in sixth, seventh grade. This is like the fourth iteration. My book is called Bloodfang: The Awakening. It's the first novel of 5 in my series. Basically, what got me started was, well, I really don't remember the original thought process behind it, but now it's kind of, I think it's probably more in line of the stresses throughout life that I've had. So it's kind of like my way of taking my stresses and putting them out there. Basically, the book, it's basically a combination of Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, and Dracula. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just like I want it to be such a big.
Hey, Alex.
Hey.
1 second. We're gonna try to see if I can get you on the virtual thing. We're gonna see if I can post a thing for it.
All right. Cool.
And you're about to meet my little guy. Come here, Jay. All right. Cool.
All right.
Wait, hold on. Hey, I'm the least technical, I think, of everybody.
I was having trouble myself too.
Okay. Let's see if we can get this. And I think next year when I do this, Jared's gonna be our tech guy.
Yeah, I have my tech guy in the other room, and we could not figure this out. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey.
Oh, good, Elizabeth, you're on too.
Hey, Solomon.
You say hi?
See, now we can figure it out. You could have done it before. We just need to ask Alex for this.
Right?
Okay. Hi, baby. That's right. All right. Let's see. So yeah, Jared's gonna be our technical guy for next time. You could actually talk, text, and do whatever you want. It's your half an hour.
Okay.
So if you want, hold on. If you want, you can talk and say, "Hey, I'm live," and then you could also do something along the lines of just like do a live transcript at the same time. Are you having fun with that?
Solomon, sit still.
It's okay. Well, now we can figure it out. So Alex, you do your thing. You save what you can, and then you can post it for your half an hour.
Okay.
If you want to ask him questions, you can do it while Alex is talking in his half an hour. That's Solomon. And this is why I like write it like.
I can't have my phone.
Okay.
All right.
Solomon is crying. Yes, I know. Okay.
Did you guys want me to kind of mute folks that don't have a chance to do it themselves?
Yes. Jared, I feel like I need to pay you now.
Okay. So Elizabeth just left. Okay. So Solomon is acting up. All right.
So type. So first of all, go onto the discussion part. Say that if anybody wants to join you for the Google account, click on that. They don't need a Google account to sign in. Also let them know that. So, and then I'm going to try to contact the rest of my clients as I'm talking to you. You can tell I'm slightly disorganized. James, is that...
Honestly, Shelly, I have you prepared for this. I'm doing this all in the spur of the moment.
Oh, good. So I'm not the only one. I'm running it. I should have figured this out earlier, but that's okay. This is the first time we're doing it. And by the time we do this next year, your book will...
It'll actually be somewhere.
Actually, no. That's what mommy told me. So yeah, if you want to just type something in really quick, and then talk about your books, you could post your inspirations. You can post. Oh, you already did it.
Yeah, I kind of have like 3 things, like four things: inspiration, my mythology, how I write, and then questions.
That's fine. Go for it. You have half an hour.
All right. So, I mean, I really can't think of much of how I started this book. I mean, I just kind of started back in like 6th, 7th grade, kind of in the spur of the moment. I just kind of wanted to sit down and write something. And it was kind of one of those things where I just started writing, and now this book is on its 4th iteration. So I didn't think much about it. It's kind of like my way of having a stress relief that I don't have to say anything to anybody. It's kind of nice just sitting down in a quiet corner and writing and listening to music and just figuring out a story that unfolds right in front of you. It's kind of awesome, in my opinion, that when you can sit down and actually write something and you see a product coming before your eyes that's not in like an actual visual art form where like painting picture is, or video or music. And you don't have to show anybody until you're done and you have 5, 6 sensors in between that. So what I like to think about when I'm writing a book is kind of like a movie sort of thing, and it's just one of those things where it's just like you would sit there and I visualize every single scene, and that's Shelly, that's kind of why this thing I sent you was kind of very cut and dry of like a movie script. It's one of those things where I just saw that scene, each scene, and I visualize everything. I first and foremost, I'm a video maker, so it's when I write something or do something, I'm thinking of it as a movie, and that's how I like to picture a book. Is you want to make it as a movie, having a clear script going through step by step, and you have to try not to overdraw details, but at times you do, and it comes out in the end as a quite beautiful scenery, and you get so much more detail out of it than you would if you don't do that, in my opinion. And it's one of those things where you just have to figure out the balance between something that is too overdrawn and something that's not overdrawn enough. And when you're writing, I always find it the easiest when you have a clear 3-4 hour period and you just sit down and write and write and write some more. And once you get into a little spot just where you can't write anymore, just kind of go back and reread everything that you just written. And it's one of those things where once you reread something and you wait a couple days and reread it again, wait a couple more days, reread it again, and then you come back to that spot, you realize that you may have overdrawn something, or you may want to add some more detail to that script, to the book. And it's actually quite nice when you see that final product after that chapter, which I think of a chapter as a scene. And once you're done with that scene, it's always cool when you go back and reread that section and you see what has happened. So yeah, any like thoughts about that shit?
Have all these go with everything, right?
Yeah, just kind of go with everything. I mean, it's one of those you just kind of go with it, and you just yeah. So, I have written like a pretty thick mythology. With this book, I just wrote the first couple chapters without really much of a mythology basis behind it. In the last couple months, I've really written into the mythology, and I just like building a mythology base for it, and I've taken different aspects of like Game of Thrones and such out of it.
But at least your vampires don't sparkle.
Yeah, they burst into flames. Actually,
All vampires should, because that's what they should be doing. They should be bursting into flames and not sparkling. I mean, I enjoyed the books as much as the next person, but come on, mythology is supposed to be mythology. You're not supposed to say, hey, look, I'm going to be all sparkly and happy.
I think I sent this bit to Elizabeth when I first started. Let me just go, like, figure out where I put it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I have one, if not a half dozen of them burst into flames. But yeah, no, with vampires and mythology, you don't. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to introduce my son at some point to vampires. I mean, he's pretty good at doing Comic Cons with us, and he's not scared of anything except Santa Claus, which I kind of find is strange. So I don't know. He will like everything, and I will definitely introduce him to that sort of vampire, and eventually when he's 18 and can probably read through Martin's work, he can read Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I just got done with finishing up the last season, not last season, the 5th season of Game of Thrones. I'm still trying to read the books for them, but I still haven't started them yet.
Well, I don't feel bad. I'm a bad author / editor / civilian because I haven't read any of his books yet.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I know I should eventually. It's on my to-do list probably when I am really old and he's actually finished the series.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And how long has he been writing the books? Like, since I know he started one it back in '96, but
It's had to be a very, very long time. So.
I read the first book my junior year of high school. That was when it came out.
Which was
17 years ago.
Dang.
Hey, don't say dang. I'm old too. When did I graduate high school? I graduated high school in '98, so don't say dang to Jared. We're both old. We're older.
Sorry.
Way to go, Alex.
Yeah, I can't find that part, but yeah, I know I have at least 3 or 4 vampires burst into flames within the first chapter. So, anyways, back to the mythology. Tangent aside, basically I've taken like little bits and pieces of Christian theology and put it into the Guardians, which are basically the gods of the world, and then there's the Allegedly, which are the demons of sorts, which I really was unoriginal and named Lucifer, one of the guardians, and the head fallen angel. So yeah, you can totally not tell that I took that from Christian theology.
No, it's so hard to tell when everything is taken from.
Yeah. And then there's the masters, which are the superiors, which are basically the lords of all the realms. There's 12 realms, and then the masters, which are the heads of all the realms, and then there's a dwarven kingdom, a goblin kingdom, and an elfish kingdom, which you can totally not tell that I took it from Lord of the Rings. Yeah. I'm very unoriginal when it came to this, but it's still a work in progress, which is always great.
Well, you could always talk to Jared too, because when he started writing when he was 16, and he said that his writing has completely changed from what it is, and he had so many mythologies going that he couldn't keep them straight.
Yeah, I tried that whole entire second book thing that I was going to do, and I was like, no, I'm working. I've overstrung myself on this book. I can't pick up another book. Elizabeth.
What? You need 4 books at one time isn't okay?
I currently have the newspaper in front of me that I was trying to read before I could get everything done, and people were starting to talk, but I kind of didn't really use my time wisely on that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know much what else to say because that's all. And then also, I'm kind of starting up a language for the book too, which is another thing that takes time. And
Well, you could always try to pronounce it out loud. And
yeah, the thing is, I'm still working on the alphabet for the language. I haven't done anything with the book because I've worked so much in the last 2.5 months. Or the last time I sat down with anything was back in March. Sorry, I'm ashamed of myself too.
You know what? Sometimes it'll take people like a long time to write one chapter and then go to the next chapter. So you're not it's not the worst thing that could have happened, but at least you're trying to do it. At least you know that it's in the back of your head.
Yeah. Yeah, so I really can't think of anything else that I can say.
Well, if you want, you could start typing in the discussion panel and be like, hey, everybody want to look at my live stream? And if you don't, here's some things I want to talk about. You can talk about mythology, talk about... You could actually record yourself saying some of the words in Elvish or in the language that you've made up. Or
like I said, the language is still in the alphabet stage. I haven't gotten into any of the diphthongs or actually writing out the words or anything. I'm still, yeah. Yeah, everything is very behind schedule on that front. I feel so ashamed. So.
Well, you know what? Why don't you talk about sorry. You could also always talk about like what books that you like to read besides, Game of Thrones and all the vampire books. Is there any particular book series that you like that you think is kind of like inspiring to you?
Well, Elizabeth does not like this book series.
Elizabeth.
She knows exactly where I'm going with this one.
Percy Jackson?
It's Percy Jackson.
Don't hate on Percy Jackson. I like Percy Jackson too.
No, she's going to hate on Percy Jackson because I gave her the books last year and she couldn't even get through the 3rd book.
I started the 4th.
Okay, you got through the 4th. I'm shaking my head in shame. So yeah, when did I? Wait, that's probably right around the time I started writing the book. It was back in 6th grade when I first got the Percy Jackson series. That's how I started writing. Percy Jackson. It all comes back around.
Well, you know what? There's nothing wrong with Percy Jackson. I've actually met, what's his face? I can't remember what his name is right now.
Rick Riordan or whatever?
Rick Riordan, yeah. And I've met him. He seems like a nice guy. Yes, Jason. Me too. Jared's going to have to edit that part out. But, he seems like a nice guy. The movies kind of crapped on him a little bit, I think. And,
just a little? Just a little?
All right, if my husband was here, he'd be like, it happened a lot.
Yeah, when I saw the movies, my brother brought home the first movie for me for my birthday. I looked right at him, and I was just like, get that piece of stuff out of my face. I just was not. I was very unimpressed with the movie, to say the least.
Yeah, they should have hired Chris Columbus or something to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The movies did a horrible justice to the book. And the whole entire fact that Kronos was resurrected in the second movie when it was supposed to be in the fifth movie. Sorry, Elizabeth, if you're still on for that spoiler, but, spoilers aside.
As long as as long as you're not spoiling like Game of Thrones or Walking Dead or something like that, I think you're okay.
Okay. Spoiler alert! Somebody dies at the end of season 5.
They all die in the season. I'm also such a bad.
Michael, your internet just
Nerd. All the
Wait,
weird,
no, never mind.
that you're supposed to know about because I do Comic Con a lot.
Don't touch it, it won't turn off. It's just if
I
I'm
can't
on
see anything.
Yeah, I thought my internet just crapped out there for a second because he just totally froze up on me. So I guess the whole entire notion of me, the reason why I started writing was probably because of Rick Riordan and the Percy Jackson.
Thank you. Much for you.
And that's actually kind of cool because Percy Jackson is my favorite book series of all time. Of all the book series I've read, which is by far very few, I still go back to that one each year and reread it. Does that say something about me?
What, going back to rereading a story?
Yeah.
No, I go back and I reread stories all the time. I love my Stephen King. The particular one that I actually recommended for a friend of mine who doesn't really like scary books, I told her she could do The Eyes of the Dragon.
Okay.
I really like that one. So there's no shame in going back to your favorite books and saying, hey, I want to read this, and hey, I want to read that. You can pretty much do anything you want, and I know my connection isn't the best, so I apologize for that.
Oh, you're good.
So, yes.
Yeah, and I guess the other inspiration, now that I think about it, is also Avatar: The Last Airbender. Just I don't like anime per se, but just the whole entire storyline of it is probably the another reason why I started reading too. Is because it was for a kids show. The show was actually very, very well written out and had a lot of good cliffhangers that it caused you to keep on watching the show. And I always I forget who it was, but back in the 1800s, that one person who always wrote the newspaper columns and left his stories at a cliffhanger. It's been 3 years since I've done an English class. 4 years since I've done an English class. So I don't remember the author's name, but I do know that they did this. They run newspaper columns, and they left each week people on a cliffhanger. And I've always found that as a good way to end a chapter, to keep the reader invested into the story, to want to keep on reading more and more and more. Which, is kind of mean on your end, but kind of entertaining too. But it's also kind of entertaining too when you leave a book right on a cliffhanger and you have to wait a whole entire year for the next one to come out.
Oh, that was sort of like Stephen King's Dark Tower series. And he did so well, and then the last for me. And it's good to kind of read serial and try to work on it like that. And that, you can get your inspiration from pretty much anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 3 more minutes. So if you want to start doing anything else or saying anything or wrapping it up.
I mean, any real questions? I mean, I can't think of anything else that I want to say.
Okay. We didn't wake you up today, did we?
No, I honestly wanted to wake up at 9, but I woke up at 10.
Okay.
So I slept in.
Oh, well, I'm glad you were able to sleep in. I'm glad that you were
Yeah.
able to. Yes, okay. Why don't you put it in your bag? Okay, go put it in your bag. Go play with your Legos. So yeah, that's all the. But if you want to start talking, or if you have any other things that you want to talk about, you got like another 2 minutes. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
It wasn't that horrible. I told you it wasn't going to be.
It was pulling teeth. Yes, we all know it was.
Was what?
It was pulling teeth. We all know it was.
Yeah. You know, authors hate talking about